Hey, Saturday Crusaders, again, just getting ready for what's going to happen today in just a few hours. 1 o'clock, our special coverage lasts, and starts. No idea how long it will go on. In years past, it's been like a half an hour, right? Here are the gavel in, gavel out times from previous election certification days. And today it could be like 14 hours. But we will be here covering it all for you. I want to go to Doug Ose right now. He's a businessman in Sacramento, but was a congressman for, I believe, 6 years up in Northern California. Mr. Ose, how are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
Thanks for being here. Tell us what happened in 2001. Where were you? What did you see behind the scenes, the wheelings and dealings on the floor of the House when there was a contested election back then?
Well, I actually took the time to bring my children to the floor that day. So I was sitting there with my two daughters, and we witnessed everything. We witnessed the challenges from the Democratic side to then Governor Bush's candidacy. We witnessed the vice president sitting in the chair presiding, denying those respectfully, but denying those challenges. It took about, I want to say, maybe 90 minutes. It was, Mike, it was that. I mean, it was history. It was history live right there in front of you. So yeah. It was fascinating.
So how did that? Because the vice president was Al Gore. So he said, all right, the election from the electors from Florida go to Bush, and then congressmen objected. And what did Al Gore do in response?
So the way it plays out is they take an alphabetical presentation of the states. So they start with Alabama or Alaska or whoever's first. And then they just go through. And I think Wyoming's the last one. And the slates of electors are presented, and they're walked down to the dais and presented to the clerk of the House. The vice president is standing in the chair presiding. He will call the roll, and then a member from each of the states, if they wished to object, had to get recognition from the vice president, at which point they would make they'd present their remarks, and the vice president invariably, time after time after time, said something to the effect, while the chair appreciates the sentiment of the gentleman or the gentlelady from wherever, the chair rules the objection out of order.
Wow.
And then we would go on to the next state, and that occurred 50 times plus once for the territories and Washington, D.C. And then at the end, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. Please.
So the last one was Wyoming, and that's the one that put then Governor Bush over the top to 271, and that was it. Now, I will tell you, the chambers were packed. The tension was high. Everybody was focused and paying attention. There were multiple parliamentarians on either side of the vice president sitting in the chair presiding to make sure the thing went down properly. And that's a little known aspect of this, which I find, having sat in the chair presiding on the floor of the House, the parliamentarians are absolutely crucial to whatever happens there. I do want to leave you or share with you an anecdote from that morning, and that was that, as I told you, my daughters were with me on the floor. They were 8 and 6 at the time, so they were kind of oblivious to the seriousness of the issue. But when the proceeding was over and when the chambers were virtually empty, Vice President Gore was still down in the well of the House, conversing with people and taking well wishes and all that. So I said, girls, come on, let's go down and meet the vice president. So literally, there was nobody else in the building, so to speak. So we walk down, we wait our turn, and we're at the end of the line, and we finally get to the head of the line, and I go, Mr. Vice President, I'm Congressman Ose. We don't know each other from Boo. I wanted to bring my daughters down here and introduce them to you. And the amazing thing to me was that Vice President Gore, on the worst day of his political life, got down on one knee and talked to my daughters as if nothing else in the world was going on.
I am no fan of Al Gore politically, right? But that is a perfect story. That is a beautiful story. No, what's the lesson for you in that?
Well, the lesson I took away personally was pros will be pros. I mean, professionals will do their job. And since that moment, I have never disparaged Vice President Gore since. There's a political aspect of each personality. There's the professional aspect, and then there's the personal aspect. Al Gore did his job, and he remembered what was, that there's something larger that we were all involved in together on that moment. And I respect that.
Yeah, that is a beautiful story.
Wow. That was deep and insightful. I want more of that. Like,
Subscribe. Get more.